The millisecond our eyes open, a cognitive reflex takes over. Before we consciously process the shape, color, or texture in front of us, the brain assigned it a name. In classical Indian epistemology, this exact fusion point, where raw sensory data meets a linguistic label, is called Savikalpaka Pratyaksha, or determinate perception. This raises a question about the nature of our knowledge. Words are abstract, human-made constructs. Objects are independent physical matter. Does forcing a word onto an object change our perception of the object itself? If human cognition requires mapping arbitrary sounds onto physical forms, it suggests a potential gap in our understanding. It invites the possibility that we are not seeing the world as it exists, but only the labels we project over it. If the act of naming distorts the object, then every physical fact or scientific observation we claim to know is reduced to a mere cognitive illusion. Verse 224 of our source text outlines a historical argument centered on this concern, known as adhyasa, or superimposition. This argument claims because abstract words and physical objects occupy incompatible realities, the mind forcefully overwrites the object with the word. By mapping a human concept where it does not naturally belong, this overlap results in mithyatva. Linguistically bound perception becomes an inescapable illusion. This model relies on a specific assumption about how the mind processes words and objects, one that the source text challenges by examining the sequence of thought. By analyzing the cognitive steps that allow words and objects to maintain their independence, we can observe how language functions as an illuminator of truth. To address the illusion hypothesis, verse 225 focuses on the strict chronological sequence of human cognition. Phase 1 of cognition is strictly physical. Light hits the retina, and the object is registered by the eye in its pure, unaltered state, before the brain retrieves any linguistic data. On a two-track cognitive timeline, the top track represents the physical object moving forward. The bottom linguistic track remains empty during initial sensory contact. In Phase 2, the recalled word appears below, perfectly shadowing the physical object above, without the two tracks ever touching. The word mirrors the pre-existing state of the object without projecting new physical properties onto it. Because zero properties are transferred from the word to the physical object, the logical requirements for superimposition are not met. Because the object's form remains undisturbed by the cognitive label, the resulting perception is yathartha, a valid experience of reality. If words and objects exist on separate tracks, we must identify the force that binds a specific sound to a specific piece of matter. Verses 226 and 227 introduce Shakti, or inherent capacity, illustrated in this bipartite network graph. Physical objects at the bottom possess Parichedya Shakti, a passive readiness visualized by outward pulsing rings. Abstract words at the top possess Grahaka Shakti, an active power represented by downward-pointing vectors. These capacities remain dormant until an external catalyst is introduced, niyoga, or human convention. Niyoga does not merge the word into the object. Instead, human agreement acts as an operational bridge, locking their independent capacities together without altering either entity. Language utilizes the natural, pre-existing capacities of both sound and matter through a functional mapping system. This leads to an objection. If naming an object requires recalling the rule of niyoga, is the experience a live perception or simply a memory? If determinate perception is categorized as mere memory, or smriti, it loses its status as direct proof of the present physical world. The text resolves this by separating the cognitive tool from the sensory event, modeled in a Venn diagram. Sensory contact is on the left, memory on the right. Memory operates in the background, serving as an interpretive lens to process raw, real-time physical data. The primary factor of the experience remains sanikarsha, unbroken, direct sensory contact with the physical object. As long as the eye remains physically locked onto the object, the cognitive event is anchored in the present. The presence of memory does not invalidate the present moment. It allows raw sensory data to become intelligible while remaining a valid state of direct perception. Consider the initial model where language dissolved objective truth into illusion. We can now compare this with the illumination model. Here, the physical geometry remains autonomous. The linguistic label orbits it safely, connected only by the non-intrusive vector of human convention. Words and objects operate in parallel, They collaborate without contaminating one another. Language serves as a tool of revelation. It acts like a flashlight in a room, revealing what is already present without acting as a distorting filter. Applying language to the world is not an act of illusion. It is the deployment of a sophisticated lens into the nature of reality.